Kate and the team are working on H2O diplomacy, trying to repair the mycelium network, a biological web that connects the Homo speedles to prove their good intentions. But things go south at the next meeting. Brackley, following a new script, tells Salt that humans will reduce pollution by 50% by the year 2065. Salt is outraged. 2065 is decades away. Brackley tries to explain that they need time to gather resources. "What's 40 years to a species that waited 1,000,000?" he asks. That was the wrong thing to say. Salt's fury triggers a nightmare. The sky turns black and a storm begins, but it's not rain. It's a storm of plastic, metal, and ocean trash. Everything humans ever threw away starts falling from the sky. In the chaos, Brackley's daughter is trapped in traffic when a piece of debris crushes her car, killing the driver. Brackley gets a panicked call from his wife and sprints into the debris-choked streets. He finds his daughter just as a massive ship anchor is about to fall on her. He lunges, pulling her to safety at the last second. They scramble back to the assembly hall as the world watches in horror. Even the wreck of the Titanic is dumped back onto the land. Salt declares that the war didn't start today. Humans started it long ago with their garbage. "This is just our first response," she says. Kate desperately tries to hand Brackley another speech, but he knows better now. He looks at Salt, man to man, and says, "I know we started this. We did a terrible thing, but please, look at us now. We are terrified, and we are ready to listen. Let's not end the world over a past we can't change, but save it for the children who have to live in it. Humans do strange, horrific things when they're scared, and I don't want them doing those things to us." Those were the chilling words of Salt, the leader of the Homo Spendles. She wasn't just talking, she was demanding a friendship agreement with a heavy price. She set 3 strict conditions. First, humans had to leave the oceans alone. No more dumping waste, no more pollution, and this was the kicker: no more travel or transportation on the water. Salt argued that humans are experts on land, so they should just stay there. "If we don't come to your home, you don't come to ours," she said. She wanted borders between the land and sea as real as the borders between countries. Even planes wouldn't be allowed to fly over the ocean. The journalists there were furious. "The modern world doesn't work like that," they shouted. "We need those ships for food." But Salt didn't care. She snapped, "I'm not here to listen. I'm here to state my terms." Then she dropped her 3rd condition. She would only speak to Brickley, and the next meeting wouldn't be on land. She pointed to a spot called the Roman Stretch, a place 25,000 feet deep in the middle of the ocean. Even a submarine could barely survive there. Kate begged Brickley to say no, but Brickley looked Salt in the eye and said, "Okay, I accept." Salt gave him a strange, haunting smile and walked away. The jurors were heartbroken. They knew humans couldn't breathe at those depths. It felt like a trap, but they had no choice. The very next day, Brickley began secret, grueling training to operate a specialized submarine. Engineers rushed to design a new pressure suit just to keep him alive. Eventually, the team was locked inside the sub and sent down into the dark abyss. Back on the surface, things were getting ugly. General Harry called Kate into a meeting and revealed a dark plan. He wanted to win this war without changing his lifestyle. His solution: torture the Homo Spendles with a nuclear machine. Kate was horrified. She wanted a solution based on love and peace, but the commander insisted the Homo Spendles were just trying to force a war. Kate stood her ground, refusing to decide until Brickley returned. But another leader, Jarl, didn't wait. He announced that he wouldn't stop ocean transport for anyone. Secretly, his companions suggested using bioweapons. Jarl hesitated, but his team pushed, saying it could be done without anyone knowing it was them. Deep underwater, the submarine reached the darkness. Suddenly, the Homo Spendles appeared and pulled the sub into a strange structure. The crew panicked until Brickley saw Salt through the window. He stepped out and gasped. Even though they were at the bottom of the ocean, there wasn't a drop of water inside this place. "We built this for you," Salt said softly. "Just like you built a tank for us." She told Brickley he could take off his mask. He did, and to his shock, he could breathe perfectly. As other Homo Spendles gathered to watch the humans, Salt walked up to Brickley and touched him. "I've always wanted to touch you," she whispered. But while they were finding a connection, tragedy was striking on land. Kate was talking to her husband on the phone when he spotted a sniper aiming at her. To save her life, he threw himself in front of the bullet. He died instantly. Back in the underwater city, the atmosphere shifted from wonder to to horror. A man who had sneaked onto the sub-1 of General Harry's partners revealed his true mission. He had brought a bioagent to wipe out the Homo Spindles. Brickley was stunned. He had no idea he was carrying a spy. He tried to stop the man, grabbing him as he fell, but the bioagent exploded. The blast was devastating. Salt managed to save Brickley by forming a protective shield around him, even sharing her own oxygen by connecting her mouth to his. On the surface, sensors picked up the massive explosion. Everyone, including a grieving Kate and Brickley's family, assumed the team was dead, but Salt carried a surviving Brickley to the surface. Once there, she filmed a terrifying video. She told the world that because humans had tried to destroy them, the Homo Spindles would now end humanity. People thought it was an AI-generated fake, but experts confirmed it was real. When Brickley finally managed to call Kate, she was in shock. She told him about her husband's death and promised to find whoever orchestrated the blast. It turned out to be someone in General Harry's group. When Brickley landed, the military grabbed Salt and put her in a container. They saw her as a villain, but Brickley knew she had saved him. In a bold move, he stole the keys to the transport vehicle, reversed it, and dumped Salt's container back into the ocean, freeing her. He jumped in after her, knowing that on land, he was now a traitor. Later, a new Homo Spindle leader named Tide emerged. He was cold and vengeful. He told Kate that they had a weapon called Rust that could turn steel buildings into dust in seconds. He demanded they clean the ocean in 5 years and return Salt or face total destruction. General Harry, now terrified, ordered a hunt for Salt. Meanwhile, Salt and Brickley were hiding in a factory. Salt told him, "By touching you, I've healed your lungs. You won't be sick anymore." Their bond grew deeper, and they decided to stay together, even though the whole world was against them. Brickley called his family one last time, but the FBI tracked the call. Before they could escape, they were surrounded by soldiers. Kate tried to stop the arrest, having realized the threatening video was actually a fake made by Harry's men, but no one listened. Salt let out a scream so powerful it burst the soldier's eardrums, and she escaped into the water. Tide continued to pressure humanity. In a bizarre move to show humans how it felt to lose pets, the Homo Spindles began trapping and eating dogs just as humans eat fish. To make matters worse, they began melting the Antarctic ice, causing global sea levels to rise. When Kate met with Tide, he simply said, "You haven't started cleaning the ocean, so we're teaching you a lesson." Brickley was eventually captured and imprisoned, but he had a secret. A guard was helping him slip out at night to look for Salt at the shore. However, General Harry was using Brickley. While Brickley was unconscious, doctors injected him with a virus, one that didn't hurt humans but was deadly to Homo Spindles. When Brickley met Salt the next morning and hugged her, he didn't know he was a walking weapon. Salt told him he had to convince humans to accept their terms, or it was over. Following her advice, Brickley met with Kate's team. They decided to bypass the general and the prime minister to make a deal, but the Homo Spindles didn't respond for days. Then, the horror began. Thousands of dead Homo Spindles began washing up on shores, their bodies covered in sores. The virus Brickley had unknowingly carried had wiped them out. Salt returned one last time, broken and defeated. "You won!" she told the humans. "Our species is almost gone!" Brickley was shattered when he realized he had been used to kill her people. Salt showed them photos of humans mocking the dead Homo Spindles and told them there could never be peace. As the meeting ended in chaos and water tanks burst, Kate received a call from a doctor. The tests on Brickley showed something miraculous. His DNA had mutated from being with Salt. He was becoming something new, a hybrid who could breathe underwater. Kate rushed Brickley to the shore and told him the news. He could finally be with Salt. He said a tearful goodbye to his family and dove into the ocean. As he swam down, slits, gills, opened on his neck. He was finally home, reuniting with Salt in the depths. Back on land, Kate walked along the beach. She saw a man toss a piece of trash on the ground. She didn't ask him to pick it up. She pulled her gun and forced him to. She was done playing nice. From now on, she would do whatever it took to protect the ocean and the survivors beneath the waves.